Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the REDX podcast. It's the best place for you real estate agents to be able to learn from the best and brightest, our coaches and agents out there. And exception today, we have Brian Icenhower here. Excited to have him. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Hey, Robert. How's it going?
Going great. I'm Robert Sullivan. I'll be your host today. Hey, before we get going, everybody, just a couple quick reminders. This is a participatory event. So if you have questions for Brian, throw them in the chat, whether you're on our podcast page, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're at. We'll do our best to get to all the questions chatted in. Make sure you go to our podcast page, theredx.com/podcast, and sign up so that you know when our next podcasts are coming out. But let's get started, Brian. Before we get to the questions, actually, most people tuning in probably know who you are, but let us know more about yourself, and then we'll get talking real estate.
Sure. Yeah. No, really excited to be here too again. I run a coaching company. I've been in real estate about 30 years and ran a bunch of brokerages. I own some brokerages and sold real estate over the years. And now I'm proud to say we have one of the largest real estate coaching companies that there is. And our kind of claim to fame has been helping agents dramatically increase their production. So much so now we coach many of the highest producing luxury agents, real estate teams, and solo agents in North America. And that number just keeps growing and growing. So our community keeps growing, and number of coaches we have keeps growing pretty dramatically. And a lot of that's been because of REDX and you guys' products too. I tell you, and you guys keep improving as well, which is really cool because it makes our job easier, you know?
Good. Well, thanks for that, Brian. Well, We are so excited to have you on the show for all the reasons you just said, but you are one of the top coaches. And we know the real estate industry has its ebbs and flows, but right now we're seeing just something historic in what we're watching in low inventory and how long it's been around. So the question that's on everyone's mind that we'd love to hear you talk to us more about is, what are you doing in this low inventory market to get listings?
Right. Well, the first thing I'm going to tell you is this. Yeah, it's a low inventory market, but that doesn't mean there aren't many listings. But that's the first. I mean, there's tons of listings. We're probably in 2021 going to set a record for the most listings ever. And a lot of people don't realize that. Now, mind you, it doesn't feel like we ever have any because they're all selling so darn fast. But the record for the most listings actually happened in the peak of the housing boom. There were 6.2 million listings sold in 2006. That was the top year of the housing boom. And guess what? At that point in time, I'm kind of dating myself, but at that point in time, people thought there was no inventory too. I mean, there was 20 offers on every house, way up over asking, people waiving every contingency, all the same stuff as now. Back in 2006. Yet, so there was no inventory and buyers were killing each other to try to get houses. Like houses were blood diamonds. You know, people were doing terrible things to get them. But yet there was a record number of them for sale. And that's really just because of human nature. When people see their house, their home going up in value, they instantly think of how much equity they have and they tend to trade up or trade over or trade down or something. So they take advantage of that time. And that's what's happening now. The second highest listings sold year was 2020, last year. And last year was a low inventory year. Now, 2021 is even lower inventory. But in the first half, which we're about to wrap up the first half, we are going to see that it's going to be the record for 6 months, the most listings taken and sold. Despite it doesn't feel like it. So the only reason I'm saying this is so that any real estate agents watching this get the right mindset about this. We get paid as a percentage of listing volume out there, or and there's never been more money out there. There's never been more commission income out there available for you to get. You just need to make sure you're getting your fair share of it. And
so someone's selling the houses. So why not?
Someone's selling them. Absolutely. Yeah, someone's selling them. So, and the best way to do that is to control the inventory, and that means control the listings. And that's what you guys do, is you give us the tools that all of our clients use to do that at an extremely high level, because I can honestly say that most of our clients are the top of their local multiple listing service in production rankings. If not number 1, 2, and 3, or number 1, or that kind of thing, they typically take the most listings. And that's because they're using a lot of your tools. And if you do that, you're going to completely control the inventory. And that, the rich get richer in this market. That's for sure.
Yeah, and thanks for saying that. So REDX does offer quite a variety of tools, but we've chatted a little bit before offline, and you've talked a lot about using GeoLeads or circle prospecting through REDX.
Yeah.
What are some of your tips and tricks, or why are you recommending that your coaches? Why are your coaches finding success with GeoLeads right now?
Well, I tell you, I love when you guys came out with GeoLeads Plus, because that added emails. And when you added emails, that opened up like this ray of sunshine on everything, because it took real estate geographic farming to another level. And we've got a lot of farmers. We coach most of our clients to build their sphere of influence, their referral base, the people they know, right? But then we always layer on a couple other pillars of business. And with most top agents, farming starts to flow into the mix, because a top agent can start to pick and choose their price point. And most agents want a higher price point because you make a lot more money with a lot less work, right? And there's no better way to target your price point than target a geographic location. You just find where the expensive houses are, and we target market that area. And GeoLeads helps us do that. And now that you've got GeoLeads Plus, where we've actually got email addresses mixed in, holy moly, now that opens up a lot of different realms that people probably haven't considered. So I'm going to actually talk about some of the tips that we use. Once I saw that, I'm like, oh boy, that opens up a whole lot more for us, right? So I know you guys provide. I do want to say this too before I dive into that teaser. That you probably don't know I'm going to say about, but I will tell you this: it's an amazing FSBO market. Okay, and you guys provide all the tools to market to FSBOs, so we still teach that, and we have a lot of agents making a killing off FSBOs right now. Why? Because the market is so outrageously hot. Everybody on the planet thinks they can sell their house themselves, so FSBOs are everywhere. So it's never been easier to get more FSBOs than right now. So this is a FSBO market, just like 2005, 6, and 7 was a FSBO market. This is a FSBO market for the exact same reason. Okay, if you can stomach dealing with people that don't necessarily think that you really should be in business, you got to get past that. You got to be patient. You got to stay with them, and you got to nurture them and market them over time. But it is a good FSBO market. So that is something I'm actually like covering your entire array of your product.
Yes,
line.
Yeah, thanks. I love it.
But I will tell you that before I get into the other thing I want people to realize too is it's an amazing expired prospecting market. And people say, well, why would you say that? There's no listings expiring. First of all, you're wrong. Every market has listings expiring all the time. But what you don't have is many other agents calling them right now, because everybody erroneously thinks that it's a terrible market to prospect for expireds. But I actually see expired prospecting conversion rates go up in low inventory market when there aren't many expired listings. Because relatively speaking, there's very few expired listings right now compared to, let's say, 2008, 9, 10, 11. However, your conversion rates are higher because no one else is calling them. So we've got a lot of agents that call them. I've even got some luxury agents that have average purchase prices of $4 million, $5 million. That prospect for expireds in luxury markets right now, and they are the only person calling them. And there's no better way to break into a farm than by prospecting into it with an expired or a FSBO.
And are those current, like brand new expireds? Are you going back months or years to do old expireds, or all of both?
Both. We always call the brand new ones first. For my guys that do expireds, we call the brand new ones first, because we got that speed to lead, whichever, that just expired. We want to be the first one on that. But then we usually do call a certain number of old expireds dating back a year or two, because we can, heck, you go back 2 years. They've had a 19% price increase in most markets. Whatever price you wanted, we can get that plus a little bit more, now. So it's just, that's another reason. Great point, Robert. That's another reason. Old expireds. You've never seen a 2-year rate of price appreciation like we've had these last 2 years.
And a lot of people don't realize when you log in and look at your expireds that you can pull your old expireds as well, either from your MLS and load them into Vortex and REDX, or just however you go through those. That expireds aren't just what's coming on the market now, which there are more than people think. I just refreshed my expireds yesterday. Very surprised how many showed up. But then there's those old expireds that a lot of people don't even realize are right there in their normal leads. They just have to go back and find them. And then
there's greedy sellers right now that are just overzealous. So they overprice, and then they get real with you when you list them the second time around. So it happens. I mean, that's, and so this is where I'm going to bring it back around. People will ask me, when you farm geographically with something like GeoLeads, how do I break into a farm for the first time? And the best way to do that is with a listing, because if you have a brand new listing, now you have something to talk about in the farm, right? I mean, otherwise you're just going in saying, hey, I'm Brian Icenhower with, ABC Realty, and I'm the best. Here's my dog and my family. Here's a market update, happy 4th of July, things like that. But if you break in with a listing, now it's, hey, watch how hard I work to market your neighbor's house. Why don't you come to my open house? Come to my next open house. Here's a just listed email. Here's a just listed mailer. Here's me retargeting some Facebook ads at you because I got the freaking email addresses from GeoLeads Plus, right? Here's me working an under contract, a sale pending once I get contingencies removed, a just sold. Here's my listing video. I'm using all the channels that REDX opens
all
up
of the above.
GeoLeads. And at the end of one listing, I've actually touched each resident in that neighborhood around the listing probably 8 to 10 times. So they're going to think, because they don't pay that close attention, that I've sold like 6 houses. If I happen to pop a second listing through those efforts, which they're definitely going to list with me because they've never seen someone work so hard or market a property so hard. So they're going to look to their wife and say, well, Judy, are you sure you want to list with your cousin? This guy seems to be the neighborhood expert, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't know how to do all this. So I get my second listing. Now I've got those sale pendings and those open houses going along with my just sold that I just sold. And all of a sudden, literally within a few months, boom, I'm the neighborhood expert because I went in with a listing. And that's why I like to use FSBOs and expireds to get in with a listing. So I really target in the MLS my hot sheets for expireds in certain neighborhoods that I want to farm in. And once I'm notified of an expired in there, bam, I'm going at it. I'm breaking in.
I love it because you're not talking about, hey, this lead type or that lead type or this media or that media. You're saying I have a strategy that uses all of them. And I start here, but I'm going to end here.
That's correct.
I love it.
Yeah, no, my guys burn out your systems. There's no doubt they tool through them. So then with GeoLeads, it gets really, really cool. So then that's how we're breaking in typically, right? And yes, we're going to market some filler in there too. Like, you got guys walking down the street putting those little tiny, American flags in the driveways, with their little business card on it. So you walk down the street, you just see all these little tiny American flags. That's 4th of July filler. You might, coming up on what's next, Labor Day, you might bring in a taco truck or an ice cream truck, or both, and park them at the neighborhood community pool or the neighborhood park, or even a house that where someone lives in the neighborhood, or the entrance to the neighborhood or something. And then, of course, we're using all of your email addresses, your mailing venues, social media, et cetera, for about 2 weeks prior to that to invite everyone. So again, you're first to mind. No one works harder than you. And that's the key with the farmer. They have to realize no one does a better job marketing than you. We're not going to list with our friend. We're not going to list with your cousin. That guy knows the neighborhood. He focuses on the neighborhood. Look what he does for the neighborhood. It's so much easier if we just use the expert. That's what we're going for, right? So that's what I call filler, because we can do those things every year. But I want to come in with a listing. And then I'm, in between listings, when signs come down, we weep. We don't celebrate for a commission check. We weep because we have nothing to talk about. Does that make sense? Then we got to look for filler. Then it's like, oh goodness, I got to do the pumpkin patch or give away pies for Thanksgiving or whatever the heck I'm doing. And filler you like to avoid.
Yeah.
Because that kind of wears out.
But I really appreciate what you're talking about is all the work side of it, right? Because sometimes, especially in a hot market, an agent wants to get in, make 10 phone calls, get 5 contacts and 2 listings, and cash a check, right? But what you're talking about is a plan, starting with your expires and FSBOs, then talking to the whole neighborhood and showing them how hard you work. And a big part of that is that you have to work hard, right? You can't just, it's not pretend. It's not.
Yes, but it is systematized and it's 100% leverageable. Okay. So it's 100% leverageable. Okay. So in other words, if you get to a point where you're selling 30 or 40 transactions a year as an agent, we start looking at administrative help, right? I mean, maybe even 20, 25 transactions a year. At that point, you're going to stop trying to get new business, especially in the spring and summer. And then you're just going to handle all the business you've got during those times. So that's when you usually hit a ceiling, and it's a miserable ceiling, especially in the spring and summer when you like to go on vacations. You're just busy as heck complaining all the time. So if you ever want to break through that, we're going to start leveraging and we're going to bring on some administrative help. And if you do that, that administrative help will pay for itself in spades. So if you're going to spend, let's say 25, 30, 40, 50, whatever, I don't care where you live and where salaries are, $1,000 a year, they should make you 2 to 3 times that back in increased GCI, because we can put them on offense. They're not going to just be a paper pusher like the office transaction coordinator you pay $400 a file. That one just costs you money. We're going to put them on offense too. We're going to have someone that's out there doing marketing activities that brings you business that will pay for themselves. And geographic farmers, good geographic farmers, there's a lot of leverageable tasks, because there's a lot of marketing material we got to put out on the regular. Okay.
So, maybe you have your next. Do you have your next tip you want to go to?
Yeah, I want to start talking about Sorry, but if you had something good, I'm sometimes.
Maybe this is going to be one of your tips, because you talked about several marketing touch points.
Yeah.
And what we have agents always looking for is a script to start with. And when you've got that many, I mean, you might have a letter, a flyer. Just listed, just sold. So it sounds like you have several different ones. Yeah. And so I think you should go to your next tip if you're ready for that one. But I'd also love to talk any scripts that you might have, or at least tips for people.
Right. We're going to give you a lot of those. And they vary based upon the different types of marketing pieces we're putting out around them. Okay. So the first one, I'm going to start with the one everyone knows. And I call them my 6 touch. And the 6 touch is composed of just listed and just sold. Those are the bookends. And then in between it, we've got open house, always 2 open houses. Okay. I don't care if your house sells in a freaking day. We have 2 open houses. And then we go under contract, sale pending, just sold. Okay. So just listed, open house, under contract, sale pending, just sold. And under contract and sale pending are usually the same thing, but I like to get 6 touches in because I want more marketing. So under contract is when we get offer and acceptance. Sale pending is when the contingencies are waived. Trust me, the public has no idea the difference. They don't even notice. And then just sold on the end, right? Now, getting coming soon going. I used to do coming soon on the front end, but now there's all these weird rules and different MLS rules. So if I were you, I'd just do the coming soon, because I think rules from an MLS restricting agents further than we're already restricted by the law is the most ridiculous concept on the planet. I don't understand why we pay dues to associations to restrict ourselves from marketing further. But for some reason, agents feel the need to do this. So I just stay out of it. But if you want to make it a 7 touch and make more money, feel free to do that on your own. But that's just my little personal rant. So anyway, that's our 6 touch, right? And because GeoLeads Plus provides email addresses, what I do is I do a 6-to-2 ratio out of there. Okay. So the 6 are 6 emails for every one. Why? Emails are free. So we're going to send an email for every single one of those. And we're going to try to spread them out. Okay. And then we're going to send 2 mailers because mailers tend to cost money. So we're just going to send 2 of them, one for just listed, one for just sold. People ask me, do you like just listed, just sold mailers? Yes. if they are done with a bunch of other touches. By themselves, no, I think it's a complete waste of time and money. But if you do them and mix in, because I don't think 2 touches on a whole bunch of people you don't know at all is worth much. But if you're saturating a neighborhood, if you're developing and grooming a target market where you just stay first of mind with your touches and you add evidence of your success with your touches and maintain evidence of your success with your touches, now I love them. Now I love them, right? So I do like them with that. So it's a 6-to-2 ratio. It's 6 touches. 6 of them are going to be emails, and then 2 of them will also be mailers. Okay? On every single one. Now, the open houses get special. Okay? So we're always going to have 2 open houses. So we got to be, again, we have to be very, very structured. All of those touches, we're also going to put social media posts around them as well too, right? So we're going to always hit Facebook and Instagram at least for all 6 touches. Okay. Now all of these, so this is, now we're making, I don't even know how many touches we're making here. We're starting to get up there and, 6 plus 2 plus another 6, that's like 15. So we're going to need to have very, very thorough listing and closing checklists so we don't forget to utilize these marketing opportunities. Does that make sense? So, yes, we put the lockbox on and we get the Instagram post up type of deal. We get the offer accepted. We open up the transaction at the title company, and we post the just listed. The under contract, and we send out the under contract email, and we get the mailer designed. That we have to remember to do all that, or we're going to say we're too busy. You solo agents that sell 20 to 40 houses a year right now in June, you're thinking, man, you're crazy if I'm going to do all this. Like, yeah, I do. You're hitting that ceiling. I think it's the worst place to be in real estate, 20 to 40 units a year, because your June and July are just a nightmare.
Yeah.
If you're doing it right.
We have a question from the audience about what you're talking about. Spencer Wright wanted to know how many touches are too much. As you're talking about a 6-2, you're talking about Facebook, Instagram. Is there a point that you are careful to not cross, or is more touches the better? How'd you answer that?
Let me circle back to that, Spencer, if you stay with me. Here's why. Because first of all, Facebook and Instagram, that's not too much, right? So as long as that depends on you, right? So if you're posting a lot of other personal stuff, then you're going to be fine because you're mixing in business posts with personal posts. But if you don't ever use Facebook and you're putting a bunch of just listed, just sold, and open house posts on Facebook, that's not good. That's why agents are always trying to post personal posts so we don't burn out our social audience. However, if you go over to your business page, you can post as much as you want. You don't get a lot of interaction there. Not a lot of people see your business page, whether it be your Instagram business page or your Facebook business page, but you always want to post there. Okay. That's not going to burn anyone out. Make sense? I don't count those as touches. Okay. Now with the emails, we're going to actually do a lot of touches with the emails. Okay. You won't burn them out too much so long as you're marketing the neighbor's home. Now, if you start doing a lot of spammy emails, if you just start doing some random generic marketing campaign that says, here's some do-it-yourself homeowner tips. Here's how you, wash out your sprinkler gutters every, whenever. And you start doing that kind of stuff, you are going to turn people off. But if you're the person that lets people know that their neighbors' homes are selling, they're interested in that. If you have subject lines that say, whatever the neighborhood name is, we're going to call it Whispering Pines. If Whispering Pines, if the subject line is attention Whispering Pines residents, another Whispering Pines home sold, new listing in Whispering Pines, that is so hyper local that it's not spammy, that when the neighborhood gets that, they're going to open it. Just think of the name of your neighborhood. And if you got an email with that in the subject line, you're interested. You're humans. You're gossipy. You want to know, and you want to look at photos of their house, and you want to see who lives there and who's moving and why and what happened and all that kind of stuff. So they actually want this. Okay. But I'll tell you, so that's the first part of it. Okay. Now we do have to be kind of toned because I'm going to add a lot of layers on top of this. So Spencer's question is really good because we do need to make sure that we don't overload them with what I'm doing next. Okay. Here's my next zinger that kind of goes alongside of this. And this kind of depends on what type of system you use, but no matter what you do, you can do this. We're all familiar with listing e-alerts, right? Okay. Listing e-alerts are traditionally something we've had in real estate 15, 20 years. You have a buyer looking for a house. You go into the MLS, you use their system to type in all their criteria. And anytime a listing comes up for sale that fits their criteria of the home they're looking for as a buyer, it gets emailed to them so they can see it and say, hey, Brian, I just saw this email you sent me, even though I had no idea it was sent automatically by the MLS. I want to go show that property. I want to go see that property. And that's what happens, okay? But farmers actually use listing e-alerts in a different way, okay? So what we'll do is have all our clients go into GeoLeads Plus, and then we actually export all of the email addresses, and we set them up in the MLS system by using so anytime a Whispering Pines listing comes up for sale, all of the residents that we have email addresses for receive an auto email listing alert from the email system, from the MLS system. Now, a lot of you guys have CRMs that do this. There's a lot of big CRMs out there that have their own listing alert system with an IDX feed to your multiple listing service. And that's fine too. Doesn't really matter how you do it. All you need is email addresses to get this done. And GeoLeads gives us that. So with GeoLeads, we use those email addresses, and now we can act. Now they love these. They love these more than just listed, just solds, right? So this is where you have to, where Spencer's question gets good. You got to kind of look at your frequency, because we don't want to burn people out with too many emails, because you can blast somebody. If you have like a neighborhood that you're farming of 5,000 houses, that's an enormous farm. So there's going to probably be, 1 or 2 listings every day. And that's a lot of emails back at 5,000 people, right? Now you can also enhance that, which I don't think you should do that. You can also enhance that by not just sending just listeds. You can also send them sale pendings and solds in most markets too. Every MLS is different what feeds they allow. Some MLSs just allow just listeds. Most of them allow just listeds. Some allow just sold. Some allow sale pendings too. Okay? Or under contracts or whatever you call it in your area. But there's quite a few that allow all three. So can you imagine a listing every single day and you're sending just listed, sale pendings, and solds? If you start doing that, you're going to get people unsubscribing all over the place. But you can adjust the frequency based upon how big your farm is. Because if Whispering Pines is only 100 people, okay, 100 people, 100 residents or 100 households, well, then I might do emails for just listed, sale pending, and just solds. So I wish there was a definite answer, Spencer, as to how frequent, but a lot of it depends on the size of your farm. And a lot of it depends on how many of these different touches you're layering on top of each other. But listing e-alerts is a very good way to do it, because this enables them to do 6 things. And this is part of your script that you want to make sure you're always conveying, because when we're meeting the neighbors at open houses, we're not just going to open houses to get buyers. We're also going to talk to listings, because every seller that's a looky-loo seller, or we're just looking, that's what they do. They go look at open houses right before they will check out the competition. I mean, they know the price. Is my house better than this or not? So they walk through it to see what the price of their house might be. So that's when you start saying, hey, how about if I set you up on a listing e-alert? We've got our own tool. So anytime one of your neighbor's home comes up for sale, we'll make sure that you know about it before any real estate agents do. And they will, because real estate agents don't look at every listing that hits the market every single morning. But if you have emails going out immediately, instantaneously to all the recipients, they'll actually see them before the agents do. So we're going to give you full realtor access to the MLS system for any Whispering Pines listing. So you'll get that email right away, and you'll know. And here's what you're going to be able to do. You're going to be able to, number one, this is like crack cocaine. Look through neighbors, look through photos of your neighbors' homes. You can go all through their house and check them out. I mean, you can virtually open up their underwear drawer. I mean, they go crazy for this right now. Like, so if you tell them that's the real thing they want, right? You can see what price their home sells for. You can compare the amenities in that house to the amenities in your house. You'll be up to date on how your homes and your whole neighborhood's values are going up in value. And this is a service we provide to all our clients. And we want to do this for all the Whispering Pines residents, because very rarely are homes held as open houses. So getting a good idea by just trying to time an open house with your schedule is pretty slim. Why don't you take a look at every home in the safe, confidential privacy of your own air-conditioned home? And you can look at it as much as you want and get an informed decision about it. So they love it, right? So we got to be able to deliver that value proposition. We're going to deliver it on phone calls when we call around and invite everybody to the open house, right? We're going to deliver it when we meet them in person. So we're not turning away looky-loo listings.
I love all of it. I mean, you're using the right tools. You've got hard work, but you're providing service, and people respond to that. I mean, they respond to human nature of wanting to look at their neighbor's house, like you said, but they're responding to your hard work and seeing that, hey, Brian's provided me a real service. And so when I know when it's time for me to sell, this is the guy I'm going to go to.
Yeah, and they'll say things like, hey, I look on Zillow, or I look on this, or, you say, hey, that's fine, but understand very few properties make it to Zillow in this market. See, understand Zillow is a secondary data feed, okay? Most of these houses in this market are selling with multiple offers within 24 hours. So if you're looking at Zillow, you're seeing only the homes that nobody else wanted. If you want to see the lower priced homes, the best, most desirable homes that sell rapidly, I'm going to give you a direct feed right into the multiple listing service, full realtor access. So you get freaking people off other platforms and you control your platform. You got to sell your services. And what I'm telling you is right. They're not going to go into the Zillow app every single day to see new listings. No one's going to do that. They need to be notified. So they will, just like you set notifications for things for yourself. So we train them how to look. And if they don't like it, we can tell them they can always unsubscribe or whatever they want at that point in time, right? Now, the last thing I want to make sure we get in there too is with email addresses, that's the gold mine for Facebook advertising now. In recent years, we can now retarget Facebook ads. So we can take the email addresses that GeoLeads REDX's product provides us. We can upload those into Facebook. And now we can retarget our ads back at our own database. That's why we call it retargeting, right? Because we provide the database to Facebook with our email addresses. Facebook magically, because Facebook knows everything. In fact, Facebook's probably watching right now. I love you, Facebook. Don't harm me. And what happens is we upload that all into Facebook, and then Facebook then takes your ad that usually is sent out to your friends or the masses and retargets those ads at just those email addresses. So you can start having very hyper local marketing materials like your Whispering Pines real estate expert or neighbors only open house this Saturday for Whispering Pines residents, or block party, taco truck this weekend for Whispering, or get our new Whispering Pines listing e-alert update tool so that you'll be the first to know when a new listing comes up. So we can really target so that the only people that are going to see those ads on Facebook are Whispering Pines residents. That's powerful stuff, guys. And it's really inexpensive marketing too.
So now I see my email. I see Brian at the taco house in my mailbox. And even when I'm scrolling on my phone in Facebook, I see Brian, and now I know he's the guy.
Yeah, you're not going to list with your cousin who just got her license. This is not going to happen. I mean, that's what they always think. I mean, so many people, you wonder why you market FSBOs, because they're going to start to realize, oh, wait a minute, maybe real estate agents do things. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you do. You get with a FSBO and you impress them. And again, all leverageable, all these touches need to be, I mean, the listing e-alerts is easy. Once you set those up, that's just set it and forget it. I mean, you'll talk to people, farmers talk to people 3 and 4 years later, and they're like, man, I've been getting your emails for so long now, and you totally forgot you had them set up, right? And not to mention, half the people think those are all your listings. That's the crazy thing. Like, my wife sells a bunch of real estate. She's got a big team, and she's got my mom set up on a listing e-alert. It's just hilarious. So my mom, who doesn't really listen to me at all, especially about real estate, like it's the most offensive thing on the planet. She listens. And she'll be like, yeah, I saw Robin list another house in my neighborhood. She sure sells a lot. And I'm like, how'd you see that? Where's the sign? She goes, oh, it's just another email. I go, oh, like a link to the MLS listing? She goes, yeah. And I go, Mom, those aren't all her listings. She goes, well, I don't know. I got the email, Brian. I'm like, okay.
So your marketing's so good, you tricked your own mom.
Yes. Yeah. That's not the hardest thing to, but so anyway, but you're going to be surprised the results you get from this. You're going to have a whole lot of people that really are, because all of this marketing, even the just listed, just sold marketing, when you're marketing a listing back to the people that live there, one more script for you. I'll always say we ultimately find that the purchaser of a home is a friend, family member, or relative of somebody that already lives in the neighborhood, which is why we're marketing to you. Okay. So that's a just listed marketing, because it's true. I mean, oftentimes you think about homes you've bought, you move into a neighborhood because you already knew someone who lived there and you liked it, right? Oftentimes they know you're waiting and looking to move in that neighborhood. So because of it, that becomes our script. That script we use on cold calls, for circle prospecting around the listing. We use it at open houses. We're always trying to explain to everyone why we're doing this. If we're door knocking, and I like to doing a lot of this around open houses, right? One more fast thing. The reason that we want to do 2 open houses right now is because you're going to get massive open house traffic right now, because most people aren't having them. And you've got blood diamonds and you're letting people look at your blood diamonds. That's what's happening. So you're going to get a lot of people that come to you because of it. So what you want to do is let your sellers know, hey, we're always going to have 2 open houses the first 2 weekends. The first weekend, we definitely want to have an open house, because typically we'll start to get offers. And what happens is those buyers and sellers will start coming by the house, showing it to their friends and family, and they're going to see 20 people going through their house, which totally freaks them out. And that makes them actually write higher offers or accept your ridiculously high counter. So it actually increases the leverage the seller has in negotiations. See how I'm using this in my listing presentation script to actually secure the listing, and they're going to list with me over somebody else, because I'm not going to just put a sign in the yard and hope someone sells it. I'm actually going to keep working for them after we get it under contract and we start getting offers to try to maximize their sales proceeds to keep negotiating for them. And then the second open house, even if we get it under contract, they know that we've got inspections coming up, and I don't want them to just tie up our property then ask me for a bunch of repairs and costs based on what they find. I want them to see that I'm out there trolling for backup offers just in case they get too greedy. So I'm going to tell that buyer's agent right up front, hey, we've got 2 open houses. My sellers want us to have them anyway. So we're going to accept your offer, but do understand we're having another open house. That's on you if you don't tell your buyer and they freak out. But it should help your buyer not get too greedy with the inspection repairs, understanding they're just inspecting to determine if they want it or not to see what they're going to nickel and dime my sellers on, because we're going to have backups just to keep your buyers honest. Capiche? And if you say that up front as part of a plan, no one's going to argue with you. You know what I'm saying? Because they just want you to accept their offer. So they're like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. It's not until you accept it they start griping to you. So you want to get all this up front, right? So we're going to have 2 open houses. Now, every listing you have, we have 2 open houses if that's a part of your process. Now we have 2 open house emails. We can do open house calls, because those are the easiest calls to make on a circle prospect to invite people, because now we're just marketing that property, because we ultimately find the purchaser of a property as friend, family member, acquaintance, as somebody that already lives in the neighborhood. That's why we want you to come to our neighbors only open house. Make sense?
I love it. I love it. Brian, we could talk for hours more. This content, it's needed right now. I mean, agents are out there. They want to know best practices to continue being successful in this low inventory market. You have delivered, and I know that you've got a lot more content. Why don't you tell our listeners as we wrap up here, your website? I think you have a book coming out, if I remember right.
Yeah, we do.
And you can let our audience know about that, and then we'll wrap things up.
Yeah, well, first of all, we have the ICC Summit, which is our annual conference, and I know you guys are going to be there as well, too. That's in October. It's in beautiful Morro Bay, right on the ocean in California. It's an exclusive event. A lot of the highest producers in the country are going to be there talking. I got some great trainers coming, old buddies of mine. They're going to be there training and speaking. We're going to do a lot of networking and masterminding and whatnot. So that's October 2021. It's October 7th, 8th, and 9th for that matter. That's the ICC Summit. You can go to EicenhowerCoaching.com to find that pretty easy. We have the realestatetrainer.com, which is actually part of the same website. So you can subscribe to the realestatetrainer.com to get regular emails from us. I'd love to see you go to our Facebook group. It's the Real Estate Agent Roundtable. We get lots of content that we put out there, scripts, dialogues, tools, systems, training videos, things like that. You'll pick up tons of, by subscribing to our email to our email newsletter and becoming an active member of our Real Estate Agent Roundtable Facebook group, I think you'll get a lot of, be able to pick up a lot of what we're putting down out there too. And yeah, we've got the book. That's kind of cool. I've written a few books for real estate before, but I got picked up by Wiley Publications, which is one of the oldest publishing houses in the country. Apparently they published Moby Dick and Herman Melville and like Ernest Hemingway.
And Brian Icenhower.
Yeah, who's gonna write a book about real estate teams. So that book is now finished. It's kind of the start to finish on how to run, structure, organize, all the options you should have for building and running a successful real estate team. And so the high performing real estate team comes out this September. We are taking pre-orders now. So if you go to eisenhowercoaching.com or the Real Estate Agent Roundtable, you'll see lots of ways you can pre-order that book and get that going. I'll be signing those books and giving them out to you for free for those of you that come to Morro Bay to the ICC Summit this October too.
That is awesome. Brian, thank you for your time today. Your time's super valuable. This content is amazing. Thanks for helping out all the agents out there with this great information. Everyone who's joined us, keep this conversation going. We are on Facebook, or you can join our Elite Prospectors group, or we can talk some more. And we'll be back here next week, same time, same place. You can subscribe to our podcast at theredx.com/podcast when we will see you again. Again, Brian, thanks so much for being here with us, and everyone else, we'll see you here next week.